Okay, we're going to do this again. Huh?
Did you come back to say you forgive me?
To save my soul?
To save my soul?
No.
No.
This is The Last Jedi by Rian Johnson. Very controversial, very divisive, very ballyhooed. Episode 8 of the Star Wars series. I am a lifelong G1, Generation 1 Star Wars fan. I was 4 years old when the movie came out on May 25th, 1977. And it's been a big part of my life with action figures, the Marvel Comics, and the Del Rey book, the Ballantine books first, and then the Del Rey books. Wasn't a big EU fan, but I did love the Dark Horse books. And I've got I've got a unique point of view. I'm returning to this. It's been about 2 years since I last put this down. I wanted to come back to it and maybe refine it a little bit. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how destructive The Last Jedi really was in a way that you might not have caught. Now, see, way back in the day, there was a 1977 movie called The Star Wars by George Lucas that was really directly inspired and almost an adaptation of this Akira Kurosawa movie, The Hidden Fortress, from 1958. And I'll just read it from the back here. A grand-scale adventure, as only Akira Kurosawa could make one. The Hidden Fortress stars the inimitable Toshiro Mifune as a general charged with guarding his defeated clan's princess. As the two smuggle royal treasure across hostile territory, accompanying them are a pair of bumbling, conniving peasants who may or may not be his friends. This rip-roaring ride is among the director's most beloved films and was a primary influence on George Lucas's Star Wars, otherwise known as Episode 4, A New Hope. And there is also it's plenty documented out there, from the swipe segues to the story, and also down to the relationship between the two bumbling beggars. Common people, the thieves, the chubby short one and the taller thin one. That was the archetypical 3PO and R2. And Hidden Fortress is an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it yet, if you are a Star Wars fan and you have not seen this movie or heard about this movie, you need to stop, drop, and giggle and go find yourself a copy and do a comparative viewing with the original 1977 Star Wars. I'm blessed and grateful for this. You can find this on Amazon out there. Pay the price, or you can find the 4K redos of these I have the original. This is the 2004 DVD release, and this is the bonus disc that has the 1977 edition. No special edition. This is the real movie. Everything's in its right place. I'm blessed and grateful to have this. But I posit this. Auteurs, movie makers, is it valid, since we have Kurosawa as a movie reference, as an pre-existing Star Wars and cinema reference, that we have this relationship between these two movies already? All right? I'm going to bring it. Here it comes. I'm going to drop the hammer. Ignite the lightsaber. I posit that this relationship between these two movies exists. And I see it. Why and how? Well, Rashomon is a famous 1950 Akira Kurosawa movie. And it was a cultural phenomenon worldwide, especially in North America, especially in the United States of America. The cultural literacy of its day, everyone knew that my window is open. It's a nice day. Everyone knew Rashomon, its story. Everyone had seen Rashomon. It was a foreign movie with subtitles, and people flocked to the cinemas to see this amazing experience. The story is very, very touchy. It's about a well-to-do couple traveling through the woods, and they come across a bandit who may or may not have sexually assaulted the woman. We find out that the truth through eyewitness experience differs between who is retelling the tale. And in Rashomon, we have a series of the flashbacks to the assault. Now, the bandit is caught, and he's given his chance to tell the story to, the judge. And he tells the story from his point of view, where it was the woman who seduced him and egged him on to kill the husband. And in the woman's story, it's something else. It's a brutal assault and a brutal murder. And then comes a witch, a medium, who tells the murdered man's point of view, if she is to be believed, and if you are to believe the mysticism involved. So we have this setup of flashbacks, each telling the same story from a certain point of view. We've heard that one before, Star Wars fans, have we not? You know that one. That's Obi-Wan. And Return of the Jedi. And there's something also called, that's in cultural literacy, known as the Rashomon Effect. What is the Rashomon Effect? You might have heard this term before. I'm going to read this from, you guessed it, the wiki, because we love reading wikis here. The Rashomon Effect is a storytelling and writing method in cinema, which an event is given contradictory interpretations or descriptions by the individuals involved. Oh, here we go. That's Toshiro Mifune, the bandit. Usually a heroic samurai, but what a good actor. Okay. The Rashomon Effect is which an event is given contradictory interpretations or descriptions by the individuals involved, thereby providing different perspectives and points of view of the same incident. The term, derived from the 1950 Japanese film Rashomon, is used to describe the phenomenon of the unreliability of eyewitnesses. The effect is named after the film, in which a murder is described in 4 contradictory ways by 4 witnesses. The term addresses the motives, mechanisms, and occurrences of the reportings of the circumstances and addresses contested interpretations of the event. Does this sound like what happened in a Star Wars movie at all to you? The existence of disagreements regarding the evidence of events and subjectivity versus objectivity in human perception, memory, and reporting. How does this come back to this movie? Well, we're given the circumstances of what turns Ben Solo to the dark side of the Force. In a very purposefully and subversive way, and uncharacteristically, Luke Skywalker has a vision of his young nephew growing up to fall to the dark side. The same Luke Skywalker who did not give up hope in his father and brought him back to the side of light. The same heroic person who did not give up on his friends. So in a moment of despair and uncertainty, Luke Skywalker, this is in the flashbacks. We have 3 flashbacks to the same event in The Last Jedi, where Luke Skywalker, in the middle of the night, while his young nephew and student is asleep, Luke Skywalker enters Ben Solo's tent. He takes out his Jedi's weapon, the lightsaber. He looks at his sleeping nephew. He then ignites his green lightsaber, looks over, and there's his bewildered, wide-eyed nephew looking at him in disbelief. The nephew then calls upon his own lightsaber, defends himself, and using his powers of the Force, brings down the tent and also murders most of the students and brings down and destroys Luke's Jedi temple. This flashback we come to back to 3 times where we were given this Rashomon effect. What happened? Did Luke actually try to strike Ben Solo? Or did Luke just think about it and Ben leapt to a conclusion and didn't give Luke the chance to explain himself or walk his way out of the corner that he basically painted himself into? In those 3 flashbacks, we are given a Rashomon effect. Now, I'm positing this. We can see, is this valid? As a cinema fan and a Star Wars fan, I say yes. I think this is fine. And it's part of the layers of cinema, and it's part of the interpretation of art. And I think this, that Luke was made to be, not just his character was changed to be, he lost faith in his Force, he lost faith in his friends, he abandoned his mission, he became a hermit to die a lonely death on a planet and became this grumpy old man. Completely opposite of what we expected, and especially based upon the extended universe, where General and Jedi Master Luke Skywalker is a married man with a son that and he leads a new Jedi Order into the future. So we're given, not only was Luke, is that character destroyed, I posit this, that Luke Skywalker was made an allegorical sexual abuser. Yes, because of the abuse, the same Rashomon effect here in Rashomon, about that level of intimate abuse, that we have basically a molestation allegory here. That he came into his nephew's tent in the middle of the night, whipping out his phallic lightsaber and beholding his young nephew with this male gaze. And he was going to use his lightsaber to hurt his nephew. And, it doesn't take much to unpack a little meaning out of that. Such as, okay, look at episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Did Padme die of a broken heart? It's a PG-13 movie. We had seen Anakin use the dark side of the Force to force choke his pregnant, frail wife. Did Padme die of a broken heart, or did she die because of the results of being abused by her husband? See, there's a level there to unpack. I posit the same here. So I think it's fair game. I think we have the Hidden Fortress as legitimate influence and inspiration for Star Wars 1977, aka Episode 4, A New Hope. And as a movie maker, I can see that Rian Johnson could be doing the same, and to add a layer of nuance into his subversion of expectations with Luke Skywalker, wittingly or unwittingly, I see an abuse allegory here. And I see that as a very keen blade to cut away at some of the layers of this subversiveness, to destroy Luke Skywalker as a character, to destroy his heroism, to put a postmodern academic theory spin onto destroying the Campbellian hero myth, the hero cycle. That is all the rave these days in modernity. How to take down your existing heroes and replace them with modernity. I truly believe that the flashback sequences in The Last Jedi are evoking Rashomon. In the subtext, I believe the subtext is kept as well. Yeah, I see it. I mean, and I've watched The Last Jedi a lot. I tried to like it. You know, I got this. It had a digital copy. I put it on my iPod. This is my iPod. That's an OtterBox. I've watched this movie. I used to watch this movie on my breaks. And I tried to enjoy it as much as I could. Oh, I hope the music doesn't get me a. Shh.
He's doing this for a reason.
He's doing this for a reason. Yeah.
He's stalling so we can escape. He's one man against an
I've watched this movie probably more than you. Good. I'm just saying that to be, a nerd. I've watched it more than I have. I've only watched the Rise of Skywalker twice at the movie theater. I don't even own the Rise of Skywalker on Blu-ray to complete my beloved Star Wars shelf. I recently have deleted the Force Awakens soundtrack and the Last Jedi soundtracks from my iPod. I don't care. I didn't get the Rise of Skywalker soundtrack. I don't care. I mean, Disney Star Wars gets further and further away from mythology and needs to insert intersectional modernity, messaging, agenda, and specifically postmodern academic theorists, whether it's queer theory, colonial theory, just the insert, go into a pre-existing space and disrupt and destroy, and I see this, and this is part of it. But I think the most diabolical and unrecognized part of this is basically Luke as the bandit. And did he or didn't he attempt to abuse his nephew? And using Rashomon. I think it's there. I see this as a film fan. I love cinema. I love Star Wars. I love our Kurosawa movies, and I can see this. And am I wrong? I know I'm making this up. I don't know if I'm making this up or I've come to this conclusion on my own. I've never heard this anywhere else in my life. I know this from being a film fan, of knowing Kurosawa movies and Star Wars movies. Then, I mean, is this valid? What do you think? Leave me a comment in the comment section. I would love to know what you think, Star Wars fans, cinema fans. I've retired as a Star Wars fan. I don't enjoy the Disney stuff. I don't enjoy the current Lucasfilm story group attitude. It's called fantagonism. I understand that there is toxicity on both sides of the fandom. Yet the Disney fans are probably worse than the old fans. It's this clinging onto, like, oh my goodness, you're a bigot, or you're some kind of phobe, or you're some kind of Nazi because you don't agree with us and you don't like what's being given to you. I don't see modern Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, as being mythological. I see it as the opposite. It's modern. It seeks agenda and messaging, and there's nothing wrong with diversity and representation and inclusion. I mean, nothing. I mean, but to to intersect real world needs into the Star Wars world, I mean, it takes away from the world that was pre-existing, the world that was built. It reinforces that there's a cultural colonialism going on, that a postmodernists need to go into pre-existing spaces, make accusations, use leveraging and shame, and try to change things for their sake. And I don't know. I don't have answers. All I have are more questions. But yeah, that's my theory. My theory is that Rian Johnson made Luke Skywalker into an allegorical sexual abuser. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. We like to make content here. I make pop culture content. I do occasional hot takes. The majority of the channel is based upon my love of comic books. Love comic books. And I share that love frequently. I'm a professional chef. I talk about cooking. I'm also a spiritual man. I'm an ordained minister. And we talk about gratitude. We talk about purpose. So there's a lot going on here. So please like and subscribe. If you didn't like this content, give me a thumbs down. I'm a big lad. I can handle it. I'm saying something really controversial here. I'm saying that the destruction of Luke Skywalker's character was so planned and so meticulous that there is an added layer that you might not have realized that was there, and that is the Rashomon influence. Not just the Rashomon effect, but the Rashomon subtext of sexual abuse. And I think it's there. And I'd like to know what you think. Please leave a comment in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. If you like this kind of Star Wars content, let me know. Like I said, I'm retired as a Star Wars fan. I have my Star Wars collection. I'm fine with it as is. Anything that Disney does seems to be so, anti-Star Wars. It's just an anti-old fan, and just, you know what? It's yours. Enjoy it. I wish I could enjoy it as much as you guys do. It's clearly not made for me or old fans. It's, the most I've watched of any of these the Disney Plus shows is like the last 8 minutes of the final episode of Kenobi, just to check out the lightsaber duel, which I thought was pretty cool. But everything else that I've seen in clips and in capsule reviews, it's just, oh gosh, it's just, and then the the uppity chit chat from all the creatives and talents, just telling us like, well, if you're not with us, you're against us. And I've heard that before in Revenge of the Sith. Anakin, my allegiance is to democracy. If you're not with me, you're my enemy. Anakin, only a Sith believes in absolutes. Seriously. Well, thank you so very much for tuning in. This has been my redo of my old theory from a couple of years ago. Luke Skywalker, allegorical abuser. Yeah, it's there for you to pick up. Let me know. Cheers, God bless, namaste, good luck, and may the Force be with you. Do 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 do.